All right, you've made it to stage 5, the last part of being a startup. And stage 5 is called finally ready for enterprise sales. And here's some of the key attributes in it. You've made it through the chaos, but now it comes down to real business. And enterprise sales are the same as startup sales. It's a complete state shift. At this level, everything changes. 18 months is now short for a deal. 40% of deals will fall apart right at the end, and it hurts. And if there's a 2% chance you won't be around for the next 5 years, you're undercapitalized, or your tech is risky, they won't buy. You need enterprise grade cybersecurity. You need tight legal IP and management. You need a professional negotiation approach. It's not just about founder hustle anymore. But as the founder, your job in the deal comes late. It's still important. But lawyers, procurement, and compliance, they lead first, and they kill and close deals without you. One lucky enterprise deal also doesn't make you ready. That's why this is called finally ready for repeatable enterprise sales. You might have an Uncle Bucky that works somewhere. That's not the same as ready for it. Let's talk a little bit more about what you're actually doing in this stage. Let's talk first about the need for cybersecurity. Cybersecurity changes very quickly. And if you don't find out early what you need to do, you can't do it ahead of time. I currently have a company right now that is on the verge of closing something that would be 10 times our current revenue, get them out of startup land. Everything about it is good. And it got delayed from September till May because a piece of cybersecurity paper was missing. This is the difference for the founder team and the investors and the current team being destitute and being worth millions. And they had to survive it because of a change. The future is often now in cybersecurity. Legal and IP. You need to have clean IP. You need to be able to understand how to steward enterprise sales, trademarks, copyrights, and other IP assets. You have to meet their legal standards and their enterprise risk. The negotiation process is very different. If you and the founding team have done multiple $10,000 a year sales, maybe even $100,000 a year sale, that means very little to $1 million a year sale. $1 million a year sale, often your lawyer is hired as your negotiator, not as your drafter and chief risk officer, which is what they are early on. There has to be harmonization with terms. In this case, it's not about winning. It's about creating trust and risk alignment. Also, sales motion changes. You go from warm intros to the business case to legal procurement to executive sign off, and there's no skipping steps. You have to go through these processes to make sure that you get things right. Also, this is when you're going to encounter two problems in enterprise. Number one is the Peter problem, people who you're talking with but don't have enough agency, or you're not talking high enough up to ever get a deal done. The second thing is just general versions of people have seen something so many times before in their industry, they don't understand the novelty of you. You have to build that trust through consistency over time. Again, having an Uncle Bucky inside somewhere, having somebody who helped with your accelerator is on your cap table or as a board member are all excellent front runners to being ready for enterprise sales. And you might get your first enterprise sale by having so much internal push and motion, but that's not the same as being finally ready. So in close, this is the transition. You are no longer a startup after you can do this well. You are now a trusted enterprise partner. You have to be boring and stable and predictable. You have to be ready for enterprise readiness for the big leagues. And this is the business case. That doesn't mean you can't be entrepreneurial. That doesn't mean you can't be innovative. Doesn't mean you can't change very quickly as an organization. But when it comes to the enterprise sales with your partner, they want to know stability, and 2% risk is the general thing to say. If what you're doing sounds like, smells like, or actually is a 2% risk to your partner, they owe it to themselves and their team to say no. Thank you for being with me through this entire week. Wow, it was a lot of work. I'm really happy to get 10 or 15 minutes of your time, and thank you. And let me know what you thought about the 5 stages of a company.